Multnomah Stadium in Portland, Oregon, where tonight the Portland Timbers play host to the Seattle Sounders in this, the first round of the North American Soccer League playoffs. And what a pleasure it is to have this gentleman standing next to me, working with me, bringing the broadcast to you live to Seattle tonight. I'm sure a lot of you know him. He's the head soccer coach at Seattle Pacific and a guy who had directed his team to the NCAA Division II finals this past year, Cliff McGrath. And Cliff, can you believe the excitement here with a crowd of 30,000 plus expected for this game between the Sounders and the Timbers tonight? Isn't it something?
I'm trying awfully hard to believe it, Bruce. Some of these people have been here all day, of course, waiting to get in, and they've been in the stands at least 2 hours before game time, yelling and screaming and carrying banners. The air is electrified. I can't believe anything except World Championship right here tonight.
That's the feeling in the stands tonight, Cliff, and as I'm sure a lot of you know, this is the fourth meeting between the two teams. The Sounders have won 2, the Portland Timbers 1, but the Sounders are, or I should say the Timbers are working on a 10-game win streak right here in Multnomah Stadium. It's a wider field, a wider pitch, as they say. Now, what do you expect to happen tonight, and will that make a difference?
Well, I think that wider pitch in the home field, the home crowd's certainly going to give an edge to Portland. But if we can mark their critical people out of the game and do what we want to do, then everything's a toss-up. And I think naturally in the heart, Seattle's got to have the edge.
You think they'll have the edge tonight, huh?
I think they've got the edge in maturity, and they certainly should have the edge in terms of experience. So I've got to go with Seattle, even in this home pitch.
30,000 plus here at Multnomah Stadium tonight to see the Sounders play the Portland Timbers. Could be one of the great games in North American Soccer League history. We certainly hope so. And we'll be back with the starting lineups and the start of this match between the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders right after this.
Tonight's North American Soccer League playoff game is brought to you in part by your 19 Western Washington Datsun dealers who remind you that Datsun saves again and again.
In Bob Bondurant's emergency driving school, a car's durability and economy are important, as well as performance. The mid-price Datsun 710 makes it on all scores. Great mileage, long-lasting, tremendous performance. It's the mid-price Datsun 710, punished and proved by Bob Bondurant.
Your 19 Western Washington Datsun dealers remind you Datsun saves again and again.
This is Stuart Anderson's Black Angus country and the West's guarantee of quality steak dinners.
I'm Stuart Anderson. My years of experience as a rancher and a restaurateur gives us the edge in selecting and preparing complete choice steak dinners for just $4.95.
Join us for lunch or dinner. Stuart Anderson's Black Angus restaurants.
Hey, let's play McDonald's French fry word game. Don't be shy. Give it a try. Think of the word. Play the fry. I'm fried too. I'm Mr. Fries. Go fry a kite. I'm hungry.
Now that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
What do you do when you have a large appetite for French fries? Get the large order of McDonald's world-famous fries.
Fry-rific.
We've always been proud of our photo finishing at Pay and Save, and that's why we guarantee it unconditionally. So if you get a picture back that didn't turn out well, we'll reprint it or refund your money. Maybe you overexposed, or maybe we just goofed. Either way, the guarantee is good for 30 days after you pick up your pictures. We do it better or your money back.
Right now in your back-to-school mailer, you can get 135 or 126 20 exposure film processing for only $2.99 at Pay and Save.
We'll get the lineups to you as we can. The ball goes over the touchline on the far side. Quickly for the Sounders tonight, coached by John Best. The goalkeeper, Barry Watling, as I'm sure all of you know. The defenders, Alan Stevens, Mike England, Dave Gilligan, Adrian Webster. They have Hank Leotard, Tommy Baldwin, Arvin Griffiths, Davey Butler, John Rowlands, and Paul Crosley. And for the Portland Timbers, it'll be Graham Brown in goal, Ray Martin, Graham Day, Brian Godfrey, Barry Lynch, Chris Dangerfield, Barry Powell, Tommy McLaren, Willie Anderson, Peter Witt, and Jimmy Kelly. Game underway, and a corner kick for Portland.
This could be a very, very tricky play this early in the game, Bruce, because anything can happen this early with that kind of confusion.
Gets in front, a crowd in front, and headed out of there by Mike England. Or make it John Rowlands over the end line. And another corner kick, and this time from the far side of the field.
A very dangerous time of the game right here, the first opening seconds, to have this kind of thing happen.
They send Jimmy Kelly into the corner for the corner kick. Graham Day's in there, Peter With, Willie Anderson. Watch what happens. There's the kick. Knocked away by Alan Stevens. Jimmy Kelly control. And further goes. Got. Knocked away by Tom Baldwin. And over the touchline at the end, and corner kick again for Portland. And Jimmy Kelly is the man who will do it.
Well, that's awfully tough pressure here in the first minute
Very,
and a
very
half.
difficult. Looking far to the side, the ball goes over the touchline. The referee says Seattle's ball. It was touched by the Portland Timbers, and the Sounders finally have an opportunity to do something. And I don't think the crowd of 30,000 plus really like that too much.
Oh, we got a lot of voters here tonight.
Goal kick by Barry Watling. As we say, the game just underway here in Portland, and you can't believe the crowd. A beautiful, beautiful evening. Temperature, about 65, 70 degrees. People have been in line all afternoon waiting for about 3,000 tickets that went on sale at 6 o'clock this evening. Hank Leotard doing battle with Barry Powell. Could be one of the key battles in the game. Adrian Webster ahead to John Rowland. Graham Day gets there ahead of Davy Butler to save it. Graham Brown, we should say.
Well, I think both goalkeepers now feel a little more at ease having a ball in their hand the first minute or two of the game.
Graham Brown with 5 shutouts this year. Hank Leotard chips the ball to the far side. And Ray Martin just plays it back to Graham Brown. Goal kick again for the Portland Timbers. No score, game just underway. Here in Multnomah Stadium in Portland, I'm Bruce King, working with Cliff McGrath from Seattle Pacific and Tommy Grieve, our statistician. Brian Godfrey. Ball knocked away by Hank Leotard. Battle on the sideline between Jimmy Kelly and Adrian Webster, and throw in for the Portland Timbers. Barry Powell to throw it in. Ooh. Barry Powell controls. Back to Graham Day. Long kick far side. Dangerfield.
There's a difference.
Little on Griffiths there. Running to by Tommy McLaren. Griffiths still trying to do something with the ball. And Alan Stevens gets it back up the field. The ball kicked back into the defending side for the Portland Timbers. And Brian Godfrey will go back to his goal. Graham Brown.
We've already seen the width of the field serve Portland's attack a lot better than they had fared at Seattle.
We should tell you this field is 70 yards wide and 105 yards long, a longer field. Dangerfield working on Alan Stevens. Long header in front of the goal. Knocked away by Adrian Webster. Tommy Baldwin controls. Kelly. Barry Watling with the save. He can't get it out, and Dangerfield has the ball back. But no, they say it is a goal kick for Barry Watling.
He actually had an offside call down here that wasn't seen right away. There's our
to
Dave.
John Rowlands. And John Rowlands and Graham Day, and that's a battle we can expect all night. Graham Day, 21 years old. He's 6'1", 170 pounds, out of the Bristol Rovers, and he and John Rowlands will probably go at it all night.
I think the lines are drawn, and you can see the matchups already. They're ready to go at each other. It's going to be a street fight in some of those situations.
Foul called against Day. The Sounders with the first free kick of the game. Alan Stevens, and here comes Arvin Griffiths. Chips the ball in the center. The ball just off of the head and to the right side and over the touchline off the head of John Rowland. The throw in for the Portland Timbers. Willie Anderson trying to beat Mike England. The shot in front and stopped by Barry Watling, even though it comes off his hand. And what about the dirt in front? Because that's third base on this baseball field here. What effect did that have?
That's going to have an awful effect on the goalkeeper in that end. In one sense, it might work to our advantage if we can hold through the first half, because that's a real problem for the goalkeeper. The ball changes a little bit of direction optically, and it's going to give him some trouble.
The ball will go over the touchline at the end, and a goal kick for Barry Watling. No score. Again, we remind you, game just underway. We played about 7 minutes here at Multnomah Stadium in Portland. And let's stop for just a moment. We'll be back with more of the Seattle Sounders-Portland Timbers game right after this.
Rhoda-Lee, the Super Bad store, is featuring 100% vinyl jackets that look like leather in 2 styles this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for only $10 at the Rhoda-Lee store near you.
Call the glass doctor, he'll fix your pain. Call the glass doctor, he'll fix your pain.
You're looking now at Barry Watling getting the cue from the man on the sideline to resume action. One of the things you have to do to be able to televise a game is be able to pay for it. And that's what the sponsors do.
You got to pay for it.
We didn't miss any action as Barry Watling kicks it away to John Rowlands. Off on Griffiths. Alan Stevens coming up from the defending position. Davy Butler, but he steps over the touchline on the far side. Quick throw in by Portland, but knocked away by Offen Griffiths, and they'll put it back in play again, and that'll be Chris Dangerfield on the far side. Dangerfield, McLaren, and Barry Powell at midfield in a 4-3-3 lineup for the Portland Timbers. They'll play 4 men back, but they'll also bring a lot of people into the midfield position, as you'll see. Interesting matchups because these teams have played 3 times before. The Sounders have won 2. Portland won. Paul Crosley, the little speedster. Hank Leotard and Barry Powell, and they said this could be one of the key matchups of the game. Leotard again. Can he handle Powell in this game? We'll see. Dave Gillett. The Sounders taking their time now, setting it up. Mike England, the legendary English star from the Wales national team. Gillett a long header to John Rowlands, just over his head, and will go over the touchline at the end. And the Portland Timbers will put it in play. The Sounders tonight really going with a 4-2-4 lineup with Stevens, England, Gillett, Webster as the defenders, Leotard and Arvin Griffiths as the midfielders. Then you're seeing Butler and Crosley at the corners, and John Rowlands and Tommy Baldwin really as the strikers here tonight.
I think that's a good surprise strategy that John Best has brought in, because I'm sure that Portland was expecting the midfield.
I'm sure he was expecting a lot to happen at midfield. A foul just called on Mike England, and a free kick for the Portland Timbers. The Timbers wearing the white uniforms, the home uniforms here tonight. Brian Godfrey, the kick to Barry Watling. The referee's whistle blows, and let's see what he said.
He bumped the goalkeeper on that one, and this is a good referee. What he's done is let the game flow, and yet he's not going to stand for any nonsense when it comes to those critical situations where a goalkeeper is vulnerable or another player is going to get chopped down.
I sure you'll remember what happened in Seattle in that game in overtime when Seattle won it by a score of 3-2. Most physical games you'll ever see. Barry Powell. Ahead to Martin. Martin to Dangerfield. Lets the ball go through his legs, runs to the outside and comes back. Chips it in front of Mike England, knocks it away. Mike England heading the ball over the touchline, and so far Portland has dominated play. We've had very little action in the Seattle offensive end of the field, if we can use an American football term. Dangerfield to throw in. To Peter Witt. What an outstanding player he is, the big striker, who comes out of Liverpool. To Godfrey.
All right, that was well covered by Crosley. There's a case where the winger realizes he's got to come in and help out in midfield, and Paul Crosley was all the way across the field and recovered that play so that Powell couldn't finish it. That's my kind of biscuit, Bruce.
John Rowlands on the run, but the ball knocked away by Graham Day. Picked up by Portland. Comes Adrian Webster in a collision there between Webster and Tommy McLaren. Throw in for Portland, long throw in to Peter Witt. Witt being double teamed, and the ball's knocked over the touchline.
Well, that's all
and
right.
Adrian Webster and Peter Witt almost go at it. The first show of temper right there, and as you say, the referee coming in immediately to talk to Peter Witt. Talking to Adrian Webster, who says we'll have no more of that.
The crowd, of course, thinks that was a dirty play, but really it was not.
Here you see the replay right here. The ball kicked away, and right here he feels that...
Adrian came in and took a wing at the ball, and he caught his feet.
Dave Gillett knocking it away. Barry Lynch to Tommy McLaren, and the ball goes over the touchline at the end. Goal kick for Seattle. Barry Watling, 28 years of age, 5'11", 170 pounds. He was the leading goalie in the North American Soccer League last year, the second leading goalie right now in the league, an all-star last year, an outstanding player, and has never missed a minute of action in 2 years with the Sounders. The Darfon Griffiths. Allen, or we should say Hank Leotard. Portland with the ball. Goes to the far side, and again it's a wide field. They're looking for a lot of space, and very difficult for Seattle to defend in space like this. The linesman says it was off the head of Dave Gillett, so a throw-in for the Portland Timbers. Jimmy Kelly gives the ball up to Barry Powell. That's Lynch and Gillett. Gillett with an excellent tackle and knocking the ball away. The throw-in now down in the corner.
What we're seeing with Seattle's defense, Bruce, is kind of interesting because we find tonight Davey Gillett marking Peter Witt, and
with the shot.
Well done. Beautiful save.
Just off the fingertips.
He got a nick of it. Fantastic.
Barry Powell. Here's the replay. Watch it now. Here comes Powell. Gets the foot into it.
Oh, lovely.
And Barry Watling gets his hand on it off the far post. A corner kick now for the Portland Timbers. Crowd alive. A lot of them on their feet here. In front of the goal, and Barry Watling has it in front of Peter Witt, and the two collide. Just inside the penalty area. They'll stand there and look at one another for a while. What is the strategy behind this? Long throw. Picked up by Kelly. Tommy Baldwin trying to knock it away, but Tommy McLaren from Portland is there, and Baldwin knocks him down. Whistle blows. Foul called on Tommy Baldwin.
One thing we're going to see is a lot of standoffs with that goalkeeper.
They say that the foul was not called on Baldwin, but yet the ball just went over the touchline, and Portland controls, as you see. McLaren to the side. Here come the Timbers again, and off on Griffiths, back from the midfield position to defend. Long kick up the field. Tip to the side and back to the far side, intended for Graham Day. Off the foot of Brian Godfrey, 35-year-old veteran who's played a lot of games.
That's a foul throw against Alan Stevens.
Foul throw against Alan Stevens. As you mentioned, you have to have both feet on the ground.
Yeah, I think he was just a little over-anxious on that one. Wanted to get the ball back and play a little earlier than the referee wanted him to.
Peter Witt, the danger field. In front, is shot by Anderson. Mike England, the defender. Here comes Witt again. Out in front, the shot. Witt just misses over top of the goal. Just misses over top of the goal, and we'll be back with more action right after this.
Gives the crowd a little bit.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Oh,
but soft, what chips through yonder window break? 'Tis potato.
And Bluebell is its name.
Oh, fair Juliet,
Romeo.
give me those,
No.
give me those.
Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
But I shall eat chips till it be morrow.
Sonny Jim makes them both, regular peanut butter and old-fashioned peanut butter. Sonny Jim uses only fresh roasted U.S. #1 peanuts. Buy Sonny Jim, the finest.
31 minutes and 26 seconds remaining here in the first half. A goal kick for Barry Watling. No score in the game between the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders. Ray Martin and Tommy, or I should say, Davey Butler on the far side. Graham Day, long kick ahead. Peter Witt after it. But Barry Watling is right there. Do they ever say anything right in a situation like that?
Yeah, usually they want to know whether he's got a sister or a cousin. Might be interested in soccer.
The ball again, as it was in Seattle 10 days ago. The ball's in the air a lot. These two teams mark so closely. I think this has been the feeling of John Best and Vic Crow all along, that the two teams mark so closely, the ball's going to be in the air a lot. Portland's had 5 shots on goal, Seattle none. Adrian Webster. Tommy Baldwin misses the ball. Picked up by Graham Day. Ahead to Willie Anderson. Long run down the far sideline. Alan Stevens getting back, and Anderson slows it up. Anderson continues to control. Stevens gets a foot into it. Chris Dangerfield kicks the ball over the touchline. It'll be a throw in Seattle. Griffiths to Tommy Baldwin. But Tommy McLaren takes him off of the ball and will control it again. Griffiths trying to get to McLaren, but McLaren keeps it. McLaren ahead to Peter Witt. The far side to Jimmy Kelly. Kelly being checked by Crosby. Here comes Webster. And Mike England heads it away from in front of the goal. Crosley.
Oh, well done.
Webster. And Graham Day heads it over the touchline.
Seattle's had to play a little negatively so far because the whole crowd support and the momentum that exists here, of course, puts Seattle a little bit at a disadvantage.
Paul Crosley.
But they're holding steady.
Back to Adrian Webster. Long kick. Intended for Davy Butler. Now Paul Crosley.
But Seattle's got to move.
Crosby being marked very closely. Here's Hank Leotard. Leotard near the penalty area. Really with the only attempted goal that Seattle's had, but it's wide to the right.
Now lets them know that they're here. Let's Mr. Brown know that we're here.
Yes.
We lack a little movement up front right now. Each time that we've made some penetration, I think the whole fact that we're playing a little bit negatively to make sure we don't make mistakes is taking its toll at this point in the game.
And a crowd does make a difference in the game.
It do make a difference.
Yes, it does. Long kick by Graham Brown to Willie Anderson. Headed away by Barry Lynch on this side. Anderson again. Back to Lynch. Peter Witt. And Mike England. The long kick downfield. John Rowlands and Graham Day going after it. Chris Dangerfield with Rowland marking him very closely. Rowland takes it away from him. Not that surprises a guy like Dangerfield with all his speed.
He's got good space to use.
Out to Davy Butler. Back to Griffiths. The veteran Welsh star still controlling. Tries to get the kick through on the far side to Alan Stevens, but he can't, and Ray Martin controls. The ball goes over the touchline as he just miskicked it that time, and Arvin Griffiths will have the throw in. Butler to Adrian, or we should say Alan Stevens. Into Butler. Butler looking for Stevens in the corner, but he can't find him, and Martin controls. Sort of playing catch down there in the corner with the foot, aren't they?
They've got great poise, Bruce. Portland is
Here comes
confident.
Willie Anderson to Peter Witt. Witt ahead to Anderson and Mike England.
That's very lucky. Very good that he got that foot on it because Anderson was coming through and it was going to be no tomorrow.
Well, as I'm sure everybody knows, there's no tomorrow for the loser of this game. A corner kick for the Portland Timbers. And gee, they've had about 5 of them now, haven't they? 5 corner kicks to none for Seattle. There's the kick by Anderson. In front. Barry Watling out of position. Watling just dives on the ball. Loses it, and Alan Stevens controls and gets it out of there.
Both teams at this point are very poised. Some critical situations, and Seattle hasn't lost their cool.
John Rowlands. Paul Crosley. A crossing pattern now with Crosley in the middle.
Oh, well done. He's got
Very
space.
nice
He's
run.
got
Here
space.
comes Crosley. Has everybody beat? He's looking on the far side for John Rowlands and just misses on the pass, and he did have the space open. Portland with Jimmy Kelly coming up the sideline. Tommy Baldwin trying to mark him, and Adrian Webster knocks it out of bounds.
I think that's all to go to us, Bruce. It was out of bounds before.
Yes, it will. It's very difficult to see here because there are yellow lines on the outside of the white lines, at least on this side of the field. They play the white lines here in Portland.
That's right.
It looks like a wrestling match going on right now. Finally, Kelly has it. It's back to Brian Godfrey. Godfrey ahead to Willie Anderson. Anderson as the ball knocked away from him by Mike English. Portland controlling again. Here comes Adrian Webster. Barry Lynch going back to Graham Brown, his goalkeeper. No score. We're 25 minutes and 34 seconds remaining here in the first half in Portland. I think going into this game, a lot of people felt it would be a defensive battle.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than the other games so far because we don't have the hard knocking in the one-on-one matches. Both teams are playing very controlled ball, which is a little unusual. I would expect them to do a lot of slamming and kicking just to see what the other team could do. But even in tight situations, as you see right now, they're playing very controlled and they're moving the ball well, distributing it to each other.
Alan Stevens to John Rowland. And Graham Day was all over his back.
And he got caught.
He certainly did. And a foul against the Portland Timbers, Graham Day, and a free kick for the Seattle Sounders.
He just gave him an autograph, and maybe that'll come back a little bit later. He'll return the favor.
Hank Leotard to Dave Gillett. Gillett controlling again. Back to Leotard, and really didn't get everything into the ball that time. And Portland controls, and here they come. Barry Powell, excellent player. Long kick ahead to Willie Anderson. Anderson and Adrian Webster on the far sideline. Dangerfield, the shot. And not there. Barry Watling ahead to John Rowlands again. He and Graham Day collide down at about would be the 30-yard line. Jimmy Kelly, how quick he is coming up the sideline. And one of the key battles here was
Adrian channeled
his
him
battle
right
with
out.
Adrian Webster. He did.
Good job of channeling at that point.
Ahead to Barry Powell. Chips the ball across in front. The header back in front of the goal, but Alan Stevens knocks it out of there. Dangerfield after it. Control by Martin, back to Dangerfield. Long shot. Barry Watling is there and knocks it down in control.
Oh, unlucky. Well, that ball was out. Now he sees his error and he's going to give him the proper call. That's a sign of a good official who can actually correct himself after he sorts through the information.
Barry Watling and the official are going to talk it over right now. That's Taurus Gabichian from Los Angeles, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Call the glass doctor, he'll fix your pain. Call the glass doctor, he'll fix your pain.
Took crops to Joplin through the pass, 31 miles on a gallon of gas. Drove to the mountains to hunt and fish, took all our gear and our hound dog, Tish. Overhead cam and 4-speed stick of hauling these plants ain't no trick. Me and my Datsun don't waste no time, just keep on moving on down the line. Datsun Little Hustler, America's #1 selling small truck. Datsun saves.
Your 19 Western Washington Datsun dealers remind you Datsun saves again and again.
To kick the ball away for Seattle. We want to tell you haven't missed any action during that commercial. We pause for 30 seconds here in Portland in our live broadcast to make sure that you see it all. This game between the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders. Barry Lynch. We'll just go back to Graham Brown and they'll start it all over again. About 23 minutes, a little under 23 minutes remaining here in the first half from Portland. Interesting clock. It works in 15-minute segments. We're in the second 15-minute segment.
We're in the second of 3 quarters, according to that scoreboard.
Hank Leotard gets the ball high in the air. Brian Godfrey is back there, along with Ray Martin, and it goes back to Graham Brown. And John Rowland is all over Graham Brown, and John says, "What do you mean I touched him?"
Now, in that situation, just to point out the action, he can stand and stare and try to make him move in one direction or the other, but he can't go with him at the time. That's called harassment, and the official properly awarded him a free kick.
Indirect free kick. Now the ball goes back to Brown. Yes. Brown, incidentally, plays for the Doncaster Rovers, a 4th Division team in England. Peter Witt, young player with a brilliant future ahead of him. Alan Stevens knocks it away. Barry Powell and Hank Leotard. The battle continues at midfield. Barry Powell to Ray Martin on the far sideline. Go back and start it again. And again, the philosophy behind this is just to sort of set yourself again and get it started again, and don't give them
a
chance
take
to
a breath and make sure you don't make any unwise move when you're being contested, marked heavily as they have been.
Whistle blows. Foul against Mike England and a free kick for the Portland Timbers. Incidentally, Portland now has 7 shots on goal to Seattle's 1, 5 corner kicks to none for Seattle, 4 fouls to 3 for Seattle, and now make that 4 on Seattle as Mike England picks it up. The free kick, Barry Lynch will attempt the free kick. The 23-year-old defender, or Brian Godfrey rather, chips the ball looking for Peter Witt. And Barry Watling just sort of gobbles it up in front of the goal.
Mike England did an excellent job of just sort of gently obstructing his pathway. Said, if you're going to get to my goalkeeper, you're going to have to go through me.
Let's go down on the sideline quickly now to see what John Best has to say. We have a microphone on John. John, what do you think of what's happening so far?
Well, I do say I think it's all right.
We'll get back to him in a minute. Okay, John, are you with us?
Okay, what? Hello? I can't hear Bruce, no.
Okay, apparently we're having some problems trying to get hold of John Best on the sideline, but we does have a microphone. Here's Jimmy Kelly with the ball. In front, looking for Peter Witt. Peter Witt controls with the body. The shot. So far, Barry Watling has had a busy afternoon. Here's the replay, as you see. Nice tackle by Dave Gillett. But Portland controls a little Jimmy Kelly against Adrian Webster. Goes over the touchline, the whistle blows, pushing against Adrian Webster.
That was about all he could do at that point. I think Kelly might have had a step on him.
Kelly to throw into Willie Anderson. Anderson, the ball knocked away by Dave Gillett. And again, the ball goes over the touchline, and Tommy McLaren, the midfielder, brings the ball into Brian Godfrey. Gillett ahead to Davy Butler. He and Tommy McLaren collide at about the 45 and go down, and they say it was Tommy McLaren at fault, and a free kick for Seattle. Alan Stevens are with the ball. To Leotard. Leotard.
Oh, well done.
Arfon Griffiths, the shot on goal wide to the right. Portland, for the first time, really having to defend down there. They've only been down there a couple of times. Seattle finally finding some space at the Portland end of the field. Of this pitch here in Portland, 70 yards wide, 105 yards long. Graham Brown, and the referee talking now, and Graham Brown will put it in play. Brown with the ball out to Brian Godfrey. Now he can take it to the front and kick it where he wants to. No score. 18 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the first half. To Peter Witt. The header to the far side. To Dangerfield. What a collision over there. Tommy Baldwin and Chris Dangerfield. A kicking match on the far sideline. Dangerfield, they say, was at fault. Mike England will put it in play for the Sounders.
Well, the ball has been on the ground a lot more than I'd expect it to be. With the kind of defensive approach, you'd expect the ball to be in the air much more than it has been. If it stays on the ground like this,
if it's shot by Paul Crosley. Here comes Barry Powell on a run up the sidelines. And this is the way Portland plays all year long. They try to get away from you, break a couple of people down the field, and Powell is the guy that can lead it. He chips in front. Peter Witt. The shot is blocked by Barry Watling.
That's going to be an offside call.
Yes. An offside call against Portland, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Have you ever held the wonder of the old ways?
Some people choose the special instead of the ordinary. Maybe that's why they know Olympia tastes like no other beer in America.
Come on along, have a nice pull, only one more time. You owe yourself the best beer in the land.
Olympia. Beer doesn't get any better.
Rodalie will be at the grand opening of the new Rodalie store in the SeaTac Mall at Federal Way this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, handing out free Rodalie decals. Don't miss it.
Back to live action from Multnomah Stadium in Portland, Oregon. Crowd of around 30,000 on a beautiful evening as the Sounders and the Portland Timbers collide in this, the quarterfinal game of the North American Soccer League playoffs. No score. Nothing with 16 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first half. The Sounders on the attack. And Adrian Webster, or we should say Alan Stevens, and I keep calling those guys by their opposite names.
They switched jerseys tonight.
I think they did.
They got your number, Bruce.
The blonde-haired guy. Alan Stevens chipping the ball over the Portland goal, and Portland will put it in play. The Timbers dominating play so far here at Multnomah Stadium. And Graham Brown really hasn't had to make a serious save as yet. The ball back to Martin. Martin will go back to Graham Brown.
As I said before,
all over again.
As I said before, Bruce, this keeping the ball on the ground means that the pressure is going to be on those individual battles more so than we would expect. So it means that what we've said about one-on-ones with Leotard and Powell and With and Davy Gillett, it's going to really come down to who wins those individual battles.
Arfin Griffiths to the outside to Paul Crosley, who's now playing on the left side, and a tackle by Chris Dangerfield, the young 19-year-old Wolverhampton star. 5'11", 157 pounds is all, but gee, an outstanding player and only 19 years of age.
Just makes my mouth water.
Doesn't it? You'd love to see those youngsters. Arfin Griffiths.
I wonder if he's got any college eligibility left.
Long chip shot intended for John Rowlands, but nobody's there as the ball goes over Rowlands' head. Jimmy Kelly will let the ball go over the touchline. It'll go back now to Graham Brown, and again Portland puts it in play. I think Graham Brown's going to have a sore leg before we're through. He's had enough kicks. Graham Brown right now, incidentally, the third best goalkeeper in the North American Soccer League. He's given away just a little over 1 goal per game. Ahead to Peter Witt that goes over his head, and Mike England controls. Arfin Griffiths, and the ball goes to the other end of the field, and Barry Watling will put it back in play, and I think I hear a boo or two from some of the fans here. I think a lot of people were expecting a physical battle as we were coming in here, and they're not seeing it.
It may still develop as they sit and think about it, halftime particularly.
Chris Dangerfield, and he's run off the ball.
They don't like a play like that from going back to the goalkeeper, but that was a brilliant play. He said, I'm surrounded, I don't have control of the ball, this is a bad place to lose it, so I'm going to send it back home.
The Portland Timbers in the white uniforms. The throw in from Barry Powell to Chris Dangerfield. Powell controls, comes out in front to Brian Godfrey, and he'll go back to Graham Day. Ahead to Peter Witt. Tommy McLaren. McLaren in front, he beats Baldwin and gets the shot, but it's over the top of the goal and into the stand.
That was a thumper from second base. Went into the dugout. You hope the guy gets home all right. I'm sure that infield area there, the dirt area on the field, really bothers the players. The footing changes.
One thing we should mention, too, there's a big dip in this field on the far sideline, too, because it's set up for football. And the ball goes, there's a crown in the center of what would be normally a football field, and you look to the far side, and there is a dip there, and then the ball goes up toward the Portland bench.
You can just hear some of those guys second half saying, push it to me so I can run downhill.
I think so.
A lot of side-to-side play.
Free kick, Alan Stevens. Chips the ball, looking for Dave Gillett. The shot, they say he was offside.
That was a push on Gillett.
A push on Gillett. And a collision between Dave Butler and Jimmy Kelly. And the free kick goes to the Portland Timbers. Portland coming into this game a 16-6 record. They lost the last two. They are 10-1 at home. They've won 10 in a row here at Multnomah Stadium. The only game they lost, 1-0 against the Sounders, the opening game of the year on a rainy night. To Peter With. Can he beat Mike England? No, he can't. Then off on Griffiths gets it out of there. Tommy McLaren. Griffiths again, who is all over the field.
Oh,
the little
that's a
guy
good
who plays in the Wales national team. He's an outstanding player. Hank Leotard ahead to Davy Butler. Tommy Baldwin trying to get the shot, but he really can't get enough into it.
Nope.
And Graham Brown will kick it away.
So far, Portland has dominated to the extent that Seattle really can't even get their strategy going. There's really no planned offense. Whenever those runs develop, it really is a case of trying to do something and get through, but it's not growing out of Seattle's play.
11:49 to go here in the first half. No score from Multnomah Stadium in Portland on just an absolutely perfect evening for soccer. Slight breeze blowing, 65, 70 degrees here. Everybody in shirt sleeves.
Push up, Paul. Come on.
On a bench down the background, you're hearing John Best, the Sounder coach. Paul Crosley trying to get something going for the Sounders, who really haven't had anything going so far. Alan Stevens looking for Dave Butler, but Graham Brown is there first in control. It's about the first time he's had to work tonight.
I think that was the first scary little save, and caused him to think a little bit. Portland's dropping off the play just a tad.
The tempo could be changing just a little bit. Tommy Baldwin now back in the midfield position, but the ball is taken away by Brian Godfrey. Ahead to Dangerfield. Dangerfield on a run up the sideline. He kicks, but it's off Alan Stevens. Dangerfield again, and we're going to say foul on Seattle's Mike England. A handball on Seattle's Mike England.
Well, that's a bit unlucky because that ball was kicked like a cannon. Mike was only 5 steps away and really couldn't do much about that. This could be critical. This is a good place for a commercial, I think.
No, we'll never do it now. A free kick. Brian Godfrey, the indirect free kick. There's the shot by Barry Powell, but Ray Martin has the ball in the corner now. And the ball goes over the touchline on the end, off of the foot of Martin. And a goal kick for the Seattle Sounders. So Barry Watling will put it in play. With 10:01 to go. The shot's now 11-4 in favor of Portland. Dave Gillett hits the ball high, intended for Davy Butler. Gillett again with a header. Tommy Baldwin, but Portland control. Portland to this side to Jimmy Kelly. Kelly trying to beat Adrian Webster. Kelly control. Kelly shot. Barry Watling save. We keep adding them up. That's 12 shots on goal from only 4 for the Seattle Sounders. Watling gets the ball away. Graham Day. Off on Griffiths. Adrian Webster and back to Griffiths. Chips the ball ahead, intended for Hank Leotard. Willie Anderson, but off on Griffiths controls. In front to Big John Rowlands.
Oh, now that
Graham
could be
Day
trouble.
knocks him down. The whistle blows, and let's see what they're going to do.
Yeah, I would contest that.
And with the score 0-0, 8:50 to go in the first half, we'll be back right after this.
What do you really spend on gas? If you get 10 miles per gallon in the city, gas costs $3,000 for 50,000 miles. Datsun B210 gets 27 miles per gallon in the city, so gas costs just $1,110. With Datsun, you could save $1,890. That's just in town. On the highway, B210 with 4-speed manual transmission got 41 miles per gallon. Datsun saves.
The Pass Card savings account lets you earn interest on your spending money at Washington Mutual Savings Bank, the friend of the family.
You're looking at the replay just a moment ago when Graham Day and Big John Rowlands collided. They said that there was no foul on Graham Day, and a yellow card was given to Arfon Griffiths, who didn't agree with him.
Now, that was clearly a penalty kick situation, and it would take an awful lot of courage on the part of that official to call it.
We're back live now, and the ball goes back to Graham Brown, who will kick it away. He is the Portland goalkeeper.
And he gave Arfon a caution, a yellow card, which is unfortunate because I think he had a legitimate beef.
John Rowlands trying to head the ball to someone, hopefully, up near the Portland goal, but nobody there, and the ball goes to Jimmy Kelly. Kelly back to Barry Lynch. Long chip shot intended for Peter Witt. Griffith. Leotard, but Anderson takes it away. Anderson in front of the goal to Dangerfield on the far side. Oh, and the ball's headed out of there by Mike England. But Barry Powell has it back. He goes back to Chris Dangerfield. Dangerfield through, but again the ball kicked high in the air by Arfon Griffiths. Griffiths again controls as McLaren can't seem to get it. Ray Martin has it, and the ball now goes back to Graham Brown, and the Portland Timbers will start again. Mike England playing an outstanding game in front of the goal for Seattle tonight. A collision between Peter Witt and Big Mike England.
Well, that's a good thing for him to do. He can go in there, he hits him hard. Well, that tells Peter that he's there, and it's got to upset him just a little bit.
Mike England, who is a world-renowned player, one of the great players in English soccer. He's played in the Welsh national team. Just one of the outstanding defenders in professional soccer in the world.
He very definitely has risen to the occasion tonight and playing a superior game.
Jimmy Kelly. Hank Leotard there, trying to kick it away. The ball goes off the top of his foot, and Peter Witt will control. Tommy McLaren. A collision on the sideline, and almost a wrestling match with Tommy Baldwin. Ray Martin up. Long shot. Dangerfield and Gillett go at it, and the ball goes over the touchline on the far side. And they will award it to the Portland Timbers.
Dave Gillett, likewise, is playing an exceptionally stiff game in there. He's making certain that nothing gets through. He stopped several critical shots.
Here comes
we just
Tommy
have
Baldwin
to reward
to
all
Hank
those
Leotard.
players.
Back to Baldwin. Paul Crosley controlling. Paul Crosley has the ball knocked out from under him by Tommy McLaren, the throw-in for Seattle. John Rowlands and Graham Day. Dangerfield back to Graham Brown, and we start again. We're down to 5 minutes, 46 seconds remaining here in the first half. The ball off the head of Peter Witt. Chris Dangerfield. John Rowlands goes to the turf, and Peter Witt was the man who tackled him. The whistle blows, and the foul is called on Peter Witt. Free kick for Seattle, and it is put in play. Leotard trying to get the ball ahead, but no one is there. And the ball goes back to Graham Brown. Seattle just can't seem to get that offense moving. They can't seem to find the space. And as you say, they're not channeling the ball the right way. They're just not starting anything.
They're not challenging either. They're really thinking quite negatively this first half, and I think it's not a bad strategy. It doesn't make for the best soccer offensively, but they're not taking any chances. They're going to make sure that they have a chance to sort it out and talk it over.
Ray Martin in the far corner. Davey Butler trying to take it away. Here comes Portland. They go back to Brian Godfrey in the long kick down the field, and Mike England over the top of Peter Witt. But Hank Leotard takes it away. Leotard controls. And he'll go to Barry Watling, and oh, if that kick would have been just a little softer, they might have had a shot at goal.
There's a good matchup.
The ball to Paul Crosley. John Rowlands in a collision with a couple of Portland Timbers. The Timbers control, It's to Willie Anderson. Anderson to the left side. Moves around Gillett. Comes back to Jimmy Kelly. Kelly breaking across the side, and you can hear that crowd begin to roar. Arfon Griffiths marking him to Peter Witt. Heads the ball back in front of the goal. And Hank Leotard gets it high in the air. Paul Crosley comes over to control. He's being marked by Dangerfield. To Leotard. Leotard being checked by Barry Powell. Back out in front to Mike England. England, the defender, goes to the right side to Adrian Webster. Webster moves up from the defender's position to John Rowland. The kick intended for Arfon Griffiths, and the ball goes over the touchline. It's kicked out of bounds by Graham Day.
It's one of the reasons why Portland has a little edge and continues to dominate is because they're reading the game a little bit better. They're anticipating, they're coming in and getting those balls ahead of time. Not giving Seattle a chance to even get set. But we've got to change that.
Adrian Webster to throw it. A long throw in intended for Griffiths. The ball intercepted by Willie Anderson. And Dave Gillett is there to kick it over the touchline on this side. The throw in for the Portland Timbers. Barry Powell.
Here's the matchup.
Big mark very closely.
There's the
match
matchup
we're looking at. Mike England gets a foot on it, then gets a head on it, and Alan Stevens kicks it out of there. Graham Day over the back of John Rowland. Chris Dangerfield in the middle. He takes the shot, and it just barely goes off of the leg of Alan Stevens. And Barry Watling controls. We're down to 2 minutes and 39 seconds unofficially remaining here in the first half. Watling. He was looking for John Rowlands, but he found Graham Day. The battle continues at midfield. Tommy Baldwin chipping it. Over to John Rowlands. Back to Griffiths. Griffiths being marked by Day. The little guy still controls and loses it off his foot to Jimmy Kelly, but John Rowlands comes back to control. Foul call. And the foul is called against John Rowlands and a free kick for the Portland Timbers.
There's a good example of Arfon, who was doing an exceptional job of controlling the ball, but he didn't really have anybody to come to help him. So we've just got to get everybody else moving.
Jimmy Kelly and Adrian Webster, another one of the matchups. So key to this game, and for Seattle to win, Adrian Webster is going to have to control Jimmy Kelly. He tackles him and gets the ball out of bounds. Over the touchline on this side is controlled by Portland. To Kelly, little chip shot, looking for Peter Witt inside, doesn't find him. Instead, Arfon Griffiths knocks it over the touchline on the near sideline. And a throw in for the Portland Timbers. Tommy McLaren will kick it in. To Brian Godfrey, trying to get out in front of the Seattle goal. Davy Butler. Here comes Portland again. Back to McLaren. McLaren being marked very closely by 2 men. Gets away. An excellent kick between them. Jimmy Kelly now against Adrian Webster. Kick, and the ball is headed away by Dave Gillett. Tommy McLaren to Ray Martin, and they have everybody up there right now. Back to Brian Godfrey at midfield. They come to this side to Tommy McLaren. The time running out in the first half. They're moving everybody up now, trying to pressure to get a score. And Paul Crosley,
the road runner, he comes back.
Yes, the ball over the touchline on this side. Inside, it goes right between the legs of Willie Anderson. And Dave Gillett kicks it, and the ball will go over the touchline, and Portland will throw it in again. We're down to 21 seconds, 20 seconds remaining here in the first half. Graham Day, no score. Graham Day of Portland, long chip shot for Peter Witt. Mike England kicks it away. Barry Powell controls. 9 seconds. Powell with the ball. Over to Barry Lynch. Lynch chipping it in the corner. To Jimmy Kelly. The crowd roaring, shoot. The shot. Time has run out in the first half, and the first half comes to a close. And from Multnomah Stadium in Portland, Oregon, it is halftime between the Seattle Sounders and the Portland Timbers, and the score, 0-0. And we'll be back from halftime activities, special interviews, and the second half right after this.
Your Majesty, Christopher Columbus has returned.
Well, Mr. Columbus, is it round?
No, Your Majesty.
That is flat?
Well, sort of, Your Majesty. It is triangular.
Triangular?
Bluebell Bellito's treasure from the New World.
What a discovery.
Sunny Jim peanut butter is made right here in Seattle. It's always fresh. Sunny Jim makes both regular and old-fashioned peanut butter. Buy Sunny Jim.
Okay. You're now looking at the crowd of 30,000 plus here at Multnomah Stadium in Portland, Oregon, where the score is 0-0 at halftime between the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders. And looking over the unofficial statistics of the first half, shots on goal in a game that the Portland Timbers have dominated from the opening gun. Portland 14 shots on goal, Seattle only 4. Fouls, Portland has 8, Seattle 10. Corner kicks, and here's a very interesting statistic. Portland has 5 corner kicks, and Seattle has yet to have a corner kick, and that shows right there how they've dominated the game. Offsides, 2 for Portland, none against Seattle. Saves, 5 for Graham Brown, or we should say for Barry Watling, 1 for Graham Brown, the Portland goalkeeper. The cautions, 1 for Seattle and none against Portland, and that yellow card went to Arfin Griffiths. Seattle, 6 block shots by the defense. Barry has 5 crosses that he's cut off, and so Barry Watling's having himself quite a night here in trying to save a goal by the Portland Timbers in this game. Again, we say it is 0-0. It's been a very, very exciting night here in Portland. As we say, a beautiful, beautiful night for soccer, and this crowd is just something you can't believe. Earlier in the day, they were telling me here in Portland that people started showing up early this morning to try to purchase tickets, because the word around town was that 3,000 to 4,000 tickets, general admission tickets, would go on sale around 6 o'clock tonight. When we arrived in Portland before noon today and came by Multnomah Stadium, there were people in sleeping bags out in front of the stadium lining up to get in line to buy tickets, hopefully to see this game tonight. And the players on the sideline before the game were saying, we can't believe the crowd that we're seeing here. This is what soccer should be like in the United States, and there's no question about it that soccer is the big show in the Northwest whenever the Seattle Sounders and the Portland Timbers get together. And as you know, tonight is the night that you have to win to stay in the playoffs. And we'll be back with more halftime activities from Multnomah Stadium in Portland in just a moment.
You may never own your moment without trying.
When you discover quality in yourself, that's a good time for you to discover why Olympia tastes like no other beer in America.
So come on along and have an ice cold only one more time. You owe yourself the best beer in the land.
Olympia. Beer doesn't get any better.
It's a fact. According to the latest published EPA test results, no 1975 pickup in America gets gas mileage on the highway as good as a 1975 2000cc 4-speed Datsun Little Hustler. 31 miles per gallon. Just one of the ways Datsun saves.
See all of the ways Datsun saves at your Western Washington Datsun dealers today.
Right now, the Bond Tiger Shop has new fall fashions for back to school. Brushed denim, a great look this fall from Westcott. Brushed denim suits in natural and light blue tones, $65. For that added touch, try a selection of Forum knit tops, creations with a look of airbrush clouds, snapper, and embroidery knits from Forum, $11 to $20. Westcott brushed denim suits and Forum knits from the Tiger Shop at the Bond, where you'll find everything for back to school.
Ernst has a great new look for bare or weathered wood. Use Magicolor Latex Solid Tone Wood Stain, only $5.99 a gallon at Ernst. It's ideal for siding, shingles, fences, even interior woodwork. You can also save on Magicolor Protect House Paint, just $8.99 a gallon. Protect makes painting easy because it covers any color in just one coat. Get Magicolor Protect House Paint and Latex Solid Tone Wood Stain on sale now at your Ernst Home Center, the paint place.
How's that here?
Stand by. You're looking part of the crowd of 30,000 plus here in Portland enjoying the halftime activities of this, the Seattle Sounders Portland Timbers North American Soccer League playoff game with a score 0-0. And one interesting statistic before we go to the field where Cliff McGrath in a special interview is time of possession. We've been mentioning that Portland has dominated play. The Portland Timbers in offensive possession of the ball, 15 minutes and 31 seconds. The Seattle Sounders, 5 minutes and 57 seconds. And that gives you an indication of what's been going on here in the first half. Now let's go down to the sideline and an interview with Cliff McGrath. Cliff?
Bruce, we're down on the field with Jack Daly, the general manager of the Seattle Sounders. And Jack, we have to say that this is some crowd, some ball game. Must make your heart go pitter-patter a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, it does, Cliff, and it's not only the crowd, it's the first half, too. I mean, I think that's a real cliffhanger. There's a real battle going on out there.
Now, obviously, we've seen Portland dominate here in the first half. We always came down here with the idea of going back to Seattle and getting ready for Saturday night, and you felt very confident, as we all did. You still sort of have those feelings?
I think so, Cliff. You know, it's a 0-0 ball game here at halftime, and you know, we think that we're going to pull this game out, and we're certainly expecting to host the semifinal in Seattle on Saturday night.
Which brings us to the question of the size of this crowd here tonight. We've got 30,000 plus, and I guess the plus are up there on the roofs of houses around the stadium. Must make you think a little bit about where we could put all the people that are in Seattle and would like to see this game.
Well, Cliff, I think the obvious answer, of course, is the Dome Stadium, and I think that if Portland can put 30,000 people in for a playoff game, there's no reason that an equal amount couldn't show up in Seattle. And I think that the day the Dome is available for soccer, and we have a game of this magnitude, I feel quite confident we can probably fill the place and get 60,000 people, because obviously, in addition to the Seattle fans, we're going to have people from Portland come down and from Vancouver.
Now, we've got a great youth program up in Seattle, and we haven't heard that much about youth soccer here in Portland. How do you account for the popularity of the game down here?
Well, Cliff, I think that, Portland have got a tremendous management. They've got tremendous ownership. They recruited a very, very good coach in Vic Crow. He's got a lot of first division experience, and he went over and he put together a young, exciting team. And I think that certainly the game that's going on here tonight, as far as I'm concerned, it's, the National North American Soccer League Championship game. And I think that you've got two equal teams. They've been an exciting team. I think they're a type of team that have attracted the fans here, and they've really done a tremendous job of merchandising this team. So that really what they've done, they've attracted sports fans who have become soccer fans.
Now, at the same time, you've done a great job with the team and the community. Has the Portland management done somewhat the same?
Yes, Cliff, I think that when they were getting ready to start the franchise, we had many discussions with Don Paul and John Gilbertson, the owner of the Timbers, and I think they went through what we did. They tried to analyze where they could go from our strengths and sort of duplicate the same program, and I think they've done this very, very successfully, as evidenced by what the turnout tonight.
Well, we hope for the very best. You care to make a quick prediction about the second half?
2-0 for the Sounders.
2-0 for the Sounders. That sounds good enough. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you, Cliff. And thank you, Jack Daly. And I'm sure that Seattle fans hope that that will be the final score against the Portland Timbers. But unfortunately, the score is 0-0 here at halftime. We're about 6.5 minutes away from the start of the second half. We'll take this commercial timeout and be back with more halftime activities in just a moment.
From Payless.
Payless and House of Value stores hope you're enjoying this broadcast of the Sounders and the Timbers, two great soccer clubs, and want to take this time to tell you about another great, Cool Ray Polaroids, the sunglasses that let you see the world around you thanks to the exclusive Cool Ray lenses. Right now, get $1 off any pair of Cool Ray Polaroids at Payless and House of Value stores, the stores that make your time and money count.
At every Payless discount drugstore.
Come on, Boone, stay close to me, will you?
Running Wild Rainier beers high in the Cascade Mountains with Mickey Rooney and Boone
He's in
Kirkland.
there. Here he comes. He's a dandy.
Mick,
Look
get
out.
your glass.
I'll get the glass. I've got it. Now pop his cap. Whoa! Look out! He's gone!
Well, one thing, they didn't all get away, I'll tell you.
And tell us, Mick, were you thrilled at seeing the Wild Rainier?
Yes, I was, Vern. He was big and cold and mountain fresh, too. Everything you want.
We'll get him next time, Mick.
Shut up.
And next week, we search for the elusive Tasmanian Wombat.
Looking for a four-door subcompact family car? You won't find it in Vega or Pinto. But the 1975 Datsun B210 comes in a four-door sedan and gets 39 miles per gallon. Vega gets 29, Pinto 26. The B210, durable and economical. Another way that Datsun saves.
See all of the way Datsun saves at your Western Washington Datsun dealers today. Sonny Jim makes them both. Regular peanut buttered old-fashioned peanut butter. Sonny Jim uses only fresh roasted U.S. #1 peanuts. Buy Sonny Jim, the finest.
You're looking at a halftime contest going on here at Multnomah Stadium in Portland, Oregon. And if you can kick it through the goal from out about the 35-yard line, you can win a couple of steaks. We've had a lot of people kicking, and I don't think I've seen one go through the goal yet, and I don't think this one's going to make it either. Prior to this game between the Sounders and the Portland Timbers, they had the National Junior Skills Soccer Contest, the regional finals for this area. We should mention it, the under-10 competition. Mark Holm from Northern California was in first place. Sane Rimkley, I believe it is, from Lynn. Okay, we'll straighten it out. Sean Renkus. I couldn't have been any more wrong than that. Sean Renkus from Linwood, Washington was in second place. The under-14 division, Isidro Lopez from Southern California. And in second place, Darren McGowan from Federal Way. So we'll go back and correct. Thank you, Tommy. Darren McHugh, is that what it is? McHugh. Okay, we'll get the names right here in a minute. Anyway, those were the winners, and you'll be contacted later because we didn't have time to show it on television because it happened prior to the start of this game. We've been talking about the way that Portland has dominated the action here in the first half, and we mentioned the fact that Portland really has had possession offensively of the ball a little over 15 minutes. Seattle 5 minutes and 57 seconds. Now let's look at some of the saves in the first half. Let's go back to some of the highlights of the first half now. And remember that Barry Watling had 5 saves, and Graham Brown only had 2. Here from a corner kick early in the game. Now looking at the Seattle goal, Barry Watling, and that is Jimmy Kelly. We'll have to throw in, rather, from this side. This early in the game. To Barry Powell. There's the shot, and that's about as close as they've come to a goal, just off the fingertips of Barry Watling. Hit the far post and goes over the end line. To watch it now in slow motion. Barry Powell, the 21-year-old out of Wolverhampton, first division team. A hard right-footed shot that goes off the far post and just off the fingertips of Barry Watling. One of the 5 saves that he had here in the first half. As Portland played most of the game, and Seattle's into the field, and Seattle's had problems trying to get things going. Portland started a game with Willie Anderson and Peter With and Jimmy Kelly up in front, and they've really done a job. Here we go again. More highlights. On the far side, the little chip out in front. You're looking at Dangerfield now. There is Anderson getting over in front to Jimmy Kelly, and the ball goes over top of the goal. And that, again, one of the attempts on goal by the Portland Timbers here in the first half. Highlights of the first half of this Portland Timbers Seattle Sounder game, and a crowd that you would think it could be a college football game in America, it could be a baseball game, it could be any athletic event in America, but a surprise to a lot of people that 30,000 people here to watch a professional soccer game. But they're all here and they're enjoying every minute of it. And we'll be back with more halftime activities and the start of the second half right after this.
Boy, am I glad we picked up the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Smells good, doesn't it? You know, when my mom used to bring Kentucky Fried Chicken home, I could hardly wait for a taste. She'd set it out all hot and golden with the fixings all around, and I'd be taking in that aroma and getting so hungry, I'd be trying to sneak a piece right from under her nose. Can you imagine that?
And you got to say, hey, hey, it's a Kentucky Fried Chicken Day.
Your Majesty, the peasants, they are revolting.
The peasants are revolting? Oh, no, no. I think they are rather nice.
No, Your Majesty. They are in revolt. They are starving. They have no bread.
Oh, la, la. Don't lose your head. Eh bien, let them eat chips.
Sacre blue bell.
Sunny Jim peanut butter is made right here in Seattle. It's always fresh. Sunny Jim makes both regular and old-fashioned peanut butter. Buy Sunny Jim. You're watching KOMO TV Channel 4 in Seattle.
As you see, the Seattle Sounders and the Portland Timbers coming back on the field for the start of the second half of this North American Soccer League quarterfinal game. Winner take all tonight. The winner moves into the semifinals next week against the winner of the St. Louis-Los Angeles game that is scheduled for tomorrow night in St. Louis. Looking back over this series between the Sounders and the Portland Timbers this year, remember that the Sounders won the first game 1-0 here in a driving rainstorm. Portland won the second game by scoring 2 second-half goals against Seattle to win it 2-1 here, or a couple of weeks ago, and the Sounders won it in overtime by a score of 3-2 in Seattle. So it's 0-0 here at halftime. And here we go again. Willie Anderson. The ball goes over the touchline. And the Sounders will put it in play. Alan Stevens to John Rowlands. Will pick up the changes and see if they can do anything different to get any kind of an offense going. Back to Mike England. Hank Leotard. They're dropping Leotard back now just a little bit. Leotard with a run up the middle and nobody's checking him. Leotard, the far kick to Arfon Griffiths. That's about as open as he's been today. Chips the ball in front. The shot. Oh, what a save. Tommy Baldwin just missed scoring. Graham Brown with a sensational save.
I think what Seattle's begun to do is shove it to the outside, which we didn't do the first half. Apparently John has seen something. He's brought it to the outside and a quick turn back.
There you see it in slow motion in the replay. Tommy Baldwin controls. To Hank Leotard, to Arfon Griffith. To Baldwin. And Portland gets it out of there into the field, but the ball goes to Dave Gillick. And I think you're seeing more offense from Seattle now than you've seen in the entire first half.
It's obvious that we had to go outside and distribute that ball before we came back in. We weren't succeeding coming down the middle. And I think the momentum's going to change somewhat.
Hank Leotard getting the ball inside. Davy Butler was in there, but no offsides call. Handball call. A handball called against Davy Butler as the ball came up and hit him in the hand, and Portland will kick it away now with Graham Brown in goal. That's the first serious save he had just a moment ago, and that is about as close to a goal as we've had in this game.
And it went to the right man. Tommy Baldwin has eyes in the back of his head. He's a poacher. He just hangs around in there, slips through. But for a very courageous goal or save on the part of Graham Brown, that would have been 1-0 for Seattle.
Peter With, the foul called on him, and Mike England will kick it away for Seattle. And Seattle now moving everybody up. Gillett at midfield. Alan Stevens is up there. Long header intended for John Rowlands, and the ball gets away from him. Graham Day now over trying to control. Gets it back down the field. Flag goes in the air. Throw in for Seattle. They say he was over the touchline on this side. Alan Stevens. Little Arfon Griffith. Guy's only for Tommy Baldwin. Here comes Willie Anderson to the far side. To Jimmy Kelly. But Alan Stevens is there. Paul Crosley now. The speedster working on Barry Lynch. Lynch trying to mark Paul Crosley. Crosley gets the ball to the center.
Oh, well done!
John Rowland.
Outstanding!
John Rowland from Paul Crosley. And the Sounders lead 1-0. Watch it in slow motion again. Here's Paul Crosley now.
He released that ball with just a half a yard, and John Rowland struck that with his foot like a bullet right past Graham Brown. That's as picture book a shot as you'll ever see in 100 years.
The Sounders lead 1-0. 41 minutes, 31 seconds remaining in the game. The winner moves on to the semifinals next week. Seattle strikes first here. Here comes Chris Dangerfield. Over to Barry Lynch, and Portland moving all kinds of people into midfield. Little Jimmy Kelly. Kelly the shot. That's the far post, and Alan Stevens gets it out of there. John Rowland trying to head the ball away, and the ball goes back to Brian Godfrey and back to Graham Brown, and Portland will start again.
Absolute
picture book goal by the Seattle Sounders, and they lead 1-0. Jimmy Kelly against Adrian Webster. Kelly has some space, but Webster knocks it away. Crosley knocks the ball over the touchline on the far side. We have a player down, and is it Dave Gillett? I believe. So, Dave Gillett is down. Frank Furtado, the trainer, is there. Barry Watling comes out, and we'll be back and check on Dave Gillett's condition in just a moment.
You can do beautiful things with Schweppes tonic water, bitter lemon, club soda, and ginger ale. Everything Schweppes touches, it improves with the sparkle of Schweppescence and the curiously refreshing quality you get only from Schweppes. Let everything else be ordinary, the taste of Schweppes makes it extraordinary. Schweppes, the taste maker.
It's back to school time at your nearby Rodalie store. The fashion leader of the Northwest has super bad styles from New York and California for you, for less. Rodalie, there's a store near you.
Everyone is gathered around defender Dave Gillett of the Seattle Sounders, who went down just a moment ago. As you see now, Gillett, number 17, getting up, and apparently he's going to be okay. Gillett's just shaking things off, and I think he got hit right in the nose, didn't he? Here, you see the bandage. That can hurt just a little bit. We had Jimmy Gabriel warming up on the sideline a moment ago, who would probably have come in to replace Dave Gillett. But Gillett says he is okay. We're ready to go. John Best, the Sounder coach, returns to the sideline along with Frank Furtado to throw in for the Portland Timbers, who trail 1-0. Peter Witt, Mike England marking him. What a battle this is between a veteran star and a young star-to-be in Peter Witt. Over to Jimmy Kelly. The Timbers trying to get the ball back into the middle. Come to the far side to Willie Anderson. Anderson the shot. Stevens knocks it away. Anderson again being marked by Alan Stevens. Tries to beat him. Portland converges on the referee, and what's he say?
He says it's all even now.
It is all even. The ball goes over.
He says, go talk to Arvon Griffiths.
The ball goes over the touchline at the end, and the Sounders will put it back into play.
You would have to give him an Academy Award for that dive. He could make the Olympic diving team.
John Rowland, Arvon Griffith, back to Griffith, and here comes Alan Stevens. Tommy Baldwin is shoved off the ball by Tommy McLaren. And the crowd here does not approve. And an apple or something came out of the stands onto the field. It is a free kick for Seattle. Alan Stevens will kick the ball. Chips it in front. They were looking for Mike England. Davey Butler misses the kick. And Portland controls, and here comes Barry Powell. Powell ahead to Jimmy Kelly. It's one-on-one. Powell and Kelly. He shoots. It's over the goal.
Barry played a brilliant one-on-one. He came out just far enough.
Here it is now. Jimmy Kelly coming in.
Touch it. If it had been low enough to go in the net, Barry would have had it in his hands. He was in just the right place at the right time.
Barry Watling, who comes out to challenge Jimmy Kelly and saves the goal. You can't play it any better than that.
No.
The Sounders lead 1-0. We're in the second half in Portland. 38 minutes and 41 seconds to go. Graham Day to Willie Anderson. Chip shot in front. Can Watling get there? He does. And grabs it out of the air, as you see. Peter Witt looking him in the eye. Portland controlling again. And Dave Gillett knocks it high into the stand.
To Chicago. That ball's in Chicago.
That was a home run. It went over the fence, the baseball fence, on the
Well,
far side of the
Mavericks
field.
would like to put a couple up there.
I think Tommy Grieve pointed something out to us a moment ago. He says that's a save that Barry Watling made that he will never get credit for because he really didn't touch the ball.
That's right.
But a brilliant save. The Sounders lead 1-0 over the Portland Timbers. We're in the second half live from Multnomah Stadium in Portland. Peter Witt being marked by Paul Crosley. Witt really coming out of position, and Arvon Griffiths control. The ball over the touchline on the far side, and Portland will put it back into play. Barry Powell, Chris Dangerfield. Ahead to Peter Witt. Now With is moving out into the corners a little further now. With the ball.
There's our Roadrunner coming all the way back again.
And Graham Day, as Portland now has everybody down within the 35-yard line. Chipped in front. Alan Stevens gets it back. Hank Leotard kicking it out of there.
Now it
goes over the touchline on this side.
he lost his poise a little bit on that. That may tell us something. Portland may be getting frustrated, and they're beginning to do things that they don't want to do.
Tommy Baldwin being checked by Tommy McLaren. Whistle blows. Foul called on McLaren. "25-year-old Tommy McLaren, a Scotsman who now plays for Port Vale in England. Alan Stevens, strong left foot, headed out of there and picked up by Hank Leotard. Dave Gillett.
All right.
Graham Day. It's the ball over the touchline at the end, and it'll be a corner kick for Seattle, and that is the first one they've had.
Portland is getting quite frustrated. They've had the edge. They haven't been able to finish, and that's always a problem to a team.
Paul Crosley with the corner kicks. Chips the ball in front. Gillett heads the ball toward the goal, but no, it's on the left side and goes over the touchline at the end. The ball over the touchline at the end, and Graham Brown from the Portland Timbers will kick it away. The Sounders lead 1-0. 35 minutes and 51 seconds remaining to play. The quarterfinal game in the North American Soccer League. The winner take all tonight. It moves into the semifinals. Next week, we'll host the semifinals, playing the winner of the St. Louis-Los Angeles game. If Seattle wins, that game will be in Seattle, and we will televise it. Whistle blows. A foul on John Rowland, obstructing the goalie, Graham Brown. And John says, wait a minute, I didn't do that.
John says, not me, man. He said, I was just talking to him.
That's right. Peter With heading the ball to Dangerfield. Alan Stevens. Mike England to Hank Leotard. Leotard, who now plays for the United States national team, goes to the far side to Adrian Webster, and the ball goes over the touchline as the ball just gets off his foot. And the Portland Timbers will have the throw in. Barry Powell controlling. Peter With way out in front. Peter With trying to beat Dave Gillett. To Dangerfield. Dangerfield chipping it through to With the ball, but Big Mike England's right behind him. Back to Anderson. The shot.
Oh, that's a lovely save.
Knocked away. The shot again. But the ball is knocked away.
Give Adrian a big
Adrian
save
Webster. Adrian Webster with a brilliant save, and we have a corner kick coming up now for the Portland Timbers. A corner kick for the Portland Timbers. I'm thinking commercial time. There's the kick. The shot. It is blocked.
Mike England did a nice job.
The ball over the touchline on this side. You can tell the excitement in the crowd. Everybody's beginning to get excited now. Seattle leading by a score of 1-0. Jimmy Kelly loses the ball to Arfin Griffiths. Griffiths controls. Did it go over the touchline at the end? They say no.
It must go completely over that line.
Alan Stevens gets it out. And now Portland controls the game. The ball over the touchline off the head of Davy Butler. Brian Godfrey. Dave Butler plays it very, very well, and Paul Crosley controls. Back to Butler. Butler to Crosley, and here come the Sounders. Crosley has the ball kicked away by Godfrey.
Good use of that space.
Willie
That's
Anderson
a wide
now.
field again.
As you mentioned, using the wide field and working on Alan Stevens. Stevens trying to mark him. Here comes Hank Leotard. Chip shot in the center, and Mike England right there to kick it away. And the ball. The Timbers with a corner kick now. Jimmy Kelly to kick it. The shot in front. Oh, and headed out of there by Dave Gillett. Tommy McLaren controls. Hank Leotard kicks it over the touchline on the near side. Throw in the Portland Timbers. And Portland in the last 10 minutes of the game dominated play in front of the Seattle goal. And just that Tremendous defense. Stevens, England, Gillett, and Webster, along with everybody else. Leotard, Baldwin, and Arfin Griffiths really doing a job. Willie Anderson, long chip shot in front. Barry Watling gets it, and he goes down.
Oh, that's
down.
unlucky. Unlucky call. Now, he called that a corner kick. He ought to get some kind of protest.
Why did he call it a corner kick?
He called it a corner kick because, in his judgment, Barry was out of the goal.
The shot by Peter Whiffen just misses, and it's headed, or rather kicked out of there by Mike England.
I think you could just put Mike back there by himself at this stage of the game, and he and Barry could stand him on.
Throw in for the Portland Timbers. Alan Stevens kicks it over the touchline on the far side and throw in again for the Portland Timbers. Are they ever going to get back to this into the field? We keep looking to the right.
We sure hope so.
That's where Portland's attacking. The Sounders lead 1-0. Second half shots, Portland has had 7, Seattle has had 5. Jimmy Kelly out in front. Anderson with the ball, has an open shot. He gets it high in the air, and it goes over the goal. Barry Watling and Graham Day standing there watching the ball go over the goal, just went over it, and if that ball could have come down about 6 inches this way, who knows what would have happened. So now, the Sounders with the ball. The Sounders, Davy Butler goes down. No whistle. Here comes McLaren. John Rowlands with the tackle, and the ball goes over the touchline. Oh, John Rowlands like stopping him on the goal line, didn't he? And McLaren is still on the ground. To Peter Whiff. Peter Whiff working against Alan Stevens, and the left-footed shot is no good.
He can
Stopped
take
by
those
Barry
all
Watling.
night. We don't mind that. They're
about-
going to get frustrated. They've been down there knocking on the door, and the Rock defense led by England is just frustrating them to no end.
John Rowlands and Barry Powell collide. Hank Leotard with the ball. Leotard, a run down the side looking for Davy Butler, and he gets the ball too far in front of him. Ball knocked out by Graham Day and picked up by Graham Brown. Portland controlling. Here comes Powell down the sideline. And Hank Leotard knocks it away and over the touchline. Brian Godfrey. Willie Anderson. Anderson being marked by Alan Stevens. Dave Gillett knocks it away. 24 minutes and 14 seconds remaining in the game. The Sounders lead 1-0. Jimmy Kelly. Adrian Webster checking him, along with Paul Crosley. The ball off the shoulder of Crosley, and Dave Gillett has it and gets it out of there to John Rowlands. But Portland controls again, and Mike England gets the ball in the air. How about a big Mike England again? He kicks the ball down the near sideline. Portland will let it go and go over the touchline, I'm sure. They do.
Yep.
They do.
You have to keep in mind that Mike England has been in many a championship game, many a cup final, and he certainly has risen to the occasion here tonight. I don't think he's the least bit ruffled with anything that's happened so far.
Willie Anderson. The chip in front. There's the shot, and just out of the goal by Barry Lynch coming up from that defender position to just miss.
That's their best by far.
And with the Sounders leading by a score of 1-0 and a little over 23 minutes to play in the game, we'll be back with more from Portland right after this. Oh, yeah. Yes.
The Roadrunners, you know, the nice part about that is that he would be back there helping out even if there weren't this sort of situation. They ought to award a few Oscars.
We're back live from Multnomah Stadium in Portland, Oregon, where the Sounders lead the Portland Timbers 1-0 with about 23 minutes remaining in the game. This, the quarterfinal game of the North American Soccer League playoffs. Portland dominated play in the first half. The Sounders came out and took control early in the second half, and now all at once Portland has taken command again. You're looking at Willie Anderson
There's
and
a
Alan
tall
Stevens
can of
going
corn.
out. Yes, what a tall kick that was.
Old Diz would have loved that one. You see, that ball's a little big.
Chris Dangerfield with the throw-in. Looking for Peter With, and With misses the ball. John Rowlands has it kicked away from him, and Alan Stevens controls. The ball goes off the foot of a Davy Butler, and again a throw-in for the Portland Timbers. Tommy McLaren now in front. Dave Gillett's there. McLaren gets a shot off the left foot, but gets it too high, as you see, and over the goal.
Well, they're not very intelligent kicks now, Bruce. You can see Portland's frustration rising with the dwindling time. They're really taking those whacks from 30, 35 yards out. If they keep that doing, Seattle's going to be very happy.
Shots on goal now. Portland 12, Seattle 5. Unofficially. Mike England and Peter With. Alan Stevens getting a foot into it. Here comes Portland again. DeBerry Powell. Powell to the far side. They love to work on Jimmy Kelly on the far side. Paul Crosley has played a tremendous game, marking and helping out Adrian Webster on that side, controls the ball. Whistle blow. Foul called on Adrian Webster. And Portland now with the free kick. The clock continues to tick away. A little over 21 minutes to go. Free kick for the Portland Timbers with the Sounders leading 1-0. Barry Watling comes up, goal to grab that ball and save the shot on goal. Barry Watling, the veteran goalkeeper for the Seattle Sounders, and what a job he's done. Tommy Baldwin in traffic in front of the goal, but he doesn't have any help, and the ball is taken away by the Portland Timbers. Portland control. Here comes Martin up the sideline. And Willie Anderson takes the ball back. Anderson. Ahead to Peter With, who heads it out to Barry Powell, in a collision in front between Hank Leotard and Barry Powell. And Leotard does the smart thing and goes back to Barry Watling.
That's the matchup that really has paid off for Seattle. Mike England certainly is doing a superior job. We can't say enough about him, but Hank Leotard has held in there. His work rate has remained high. He certainly is psyched for the game, and he just has kind of neutralized Powell, which is, of course, what Seattle really wanted to do.
And we talked about that before the start of the game. If he could, then Seattle certainly would be in the game. Graham Brown, the big goalkeeper. Tommy Baldwin, veteran first division player. Here comes Paul Crosley. Crosley knocking the ball away, and a fine defensive play by Paul Crosley. Peter With. He's being marked by Mike England. Now here comes Alan Stevens and Marfon Griffith. With still with the ball. Still with the ball. The shot in front of the goal. It's in.
Oh, it's unlucky. Unlucky. He actually made the save and then knocked it in with his own hand.
Here's the replay now in slow motion. Peter With the ball coming across.
You see, he made the save around off the player's head. He actually got a hand to make the save and then batted it in with his hand flying over top.
His right hand knocked the ball in. The score tied 1-1, 19 minutes and 9 seconds to go. Here comes Leotard. Whistle blows, foul call on Portland. Free kick for the Sounders. And Marfon Griffith will take the free kick. back live at Multnomah Stadium in Portland, Oregon, where the score is tied 1-1 between the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders with 18 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in this quarterfinal game of the North American Soccer League playoff. The goal goes to Barry Powell for Portland just a couple of minutes ago. The assist from Witt that comes at the 70-minute, 51-second mark. The whistle blows on the playing field, on the pitch, as they say in England.
Man, it's some pitch.
It certainly is.
It was 85 or 90 degrees here this morning. It's cool in the air, but hot down there on the field.
It certainly is. Alan Stevens. John Rowland. Paul Crossley. Crossley again trying to control the ball. The ball goes to Dave Gillett.
We got a dogfight.
Ooh. Just missed Paul Crossley. And that was Hank Leotard with the kick, but Graham Brown comes up with a save. Willie Anderson. They're marked by Rowland. John kicks the ball over the touchline, and Portland will put it in play with a throw-in. Score 1-1. We're getting down to the final minutes. I think John Best said we don't want to go down to a penalty kick situation at the end to see who wins it. Brian Godfrey. Dave Gillett getting it out of there, but Portland controls the game. Godfrey to the wide side to Jimmy Kelly. Kelly with Adrian Webster and Paul Crossley marking him, and the ball is off of the head of Arfon Griffiths and goes over the touchline, and Kelly will put it back into play. The chip in front of the goal. Gillett knocking it away. The ball over the touchline at the end, and a goal kick for Seattle. And what a game this has been. This second half is something else. We talked about the fact that it wasn't what we expected in the first half, but boy, the last 30 minutes of play, unbelievable. Play continues. Portland with the ball. Here comes Jimmy Kelly. Kelly gets by Gillett. There's the shot, but Barry Watling is there. Off on Griffith on a run up the middle. Goes to John Rowland with the ball knocked over the touchline by Graham Day. And surprisingly enough, we really haven't had much of a physical battle between Rowlands and Graham Day. At least they've been subtle about it.
They've been playing good, hard soccer, and it's happening all
Mike
over
England,
the
long shot. Wide to the right.
Sometimes Mike appears to be so casual.
He certainly does. Goal kick now for the Portland Timbers. Graham Brown to kick it away. We're down now to 15 minutes and 27 seconds to go. A slight delay as the referee talks to Tommy McLaren. Everything is squared away now. We're set to go. Here comes Graham Brown. To Dangerfield. Crossley tries to take it away and finally does. Whistle blows. Handball called on the Portland Timbers. So free kick, and Dave Gillett will kick it away. The handball called on Chris Dangerfield. Gillett. Long header across the field. Out in front of the Portland goal, but Graham Day is there to knock it away, and Gillett has the ball at midfield for the Sounders. Gillett chips it down the sideline. The Lynch controls. But back to Hank Leotard. Leotard with a strong leg, trying to get some running room in the front. The ball to Leotard. He has the shot. The shot is over the goal. Just high.
Just a little high.
Just high. With the score tied 1-1. We'll be back in Portland Multnomah Stadium in just a moment. While we're away at the commercial break, a change for the Portland Timbers now. With 14 minutes and 28 seconds to go, Tony Betts, the veteran, comes in to replace the youngster Chris Dangerfield. So Betts is in the game now.
Tony Betts is a brawler. He leads Portland team in cautions with 5. And Vic Crow could be sending him in there just to create some problems.
Tommy Baldwin. Graham Day gets it away. Crosley. And now here's Dave Gillett at midfield. Gillett getting the ball in the air to John Rowlands. Rowlands looking for Crosley. But Brian Godfrey is there to kick it back down the field, but Seattle still controls. Griffith. Leotard. Ahead to Davy Butler. Just misses the shot and really didn't get a good shot.
He didn't get a piece of it at all. There again, I think if you were to talk to him afterwards, that infield had to bother him, that third base area. That's really a complete change in the background for the player. Has to take care of his concentration a little bit.
We just have the official attendance here. 31,523, a record playoff attendance, the second largest crowd in North American Soccer League history. Portland in front of the goal. Foul, but knocked away by Barry Watson.
Outstanding save.
What a sensational save.
Barry's back, waving him on.
Hank Leotard on the far side. John Rowlands trying to get the header in the goal, but he can't. Here comes Tommy Baldwin, run for the side, but Portland controls. Willie Anderson on the near side. Alan Stevens controlling. Here comes Stevens. Stevens trying to mark him. Anderson working him in close to the goal. The chip and looking for Peter With, and he just misses his head.
Well, some of those shots are just absolutely devastating.
With the score 1-1, 12 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Let's pause for this commercial timeout. For We're back live at Multnomah Stadium in Portland before 31,000 plus, watching the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders go at it in this North American Soccer League game. Jimmy Kelly to Peter With. The shot partially blocked. The ball goes to Barry Watling. And the Sounders, Barry Watling will kick it away. 11 minutes, 27 seconds to go. Score tied 1-1. Both scores coming in the second half. And this game could go into overtime. Davy Butler trying to run by Brian Godfrey, but Godfrey controls in the far sideline. Tony Betts. Paul Crosley. Crosley is open down the sideline. Chips the ball in the middle, intended for Tommy Baldwin. But Brian Godfrey gets in the way. A collision at midfield, and they will continue to play. No whistle blows. That was Betts and Mike England. Harp on Griffith. Paul Crosley. Crosley working on Barry Lynch. Lynch, it appeared, got a hand on the ball. But the referee says no, and it goes back to Graham Brown. Score 1-1. We're down to 10 minutes, 37 seconds to go. So Willie Anderson on the side, the near sideline. The 70-yard pitch here in Portland's Multnomah Stadium. Anderson again will take Alan Stevens inside post. Anderson working on Stevens. Stevens tackles and knocks the ball away.
Yes, he has to. He'll put it outside.
Whistle blows, and let's see what happens.
He'll put it outside.
Is it inside the penalty area? No. An obstruction against Alan Stevens. We'll call it a trip.
We'll call it a trip. And any time a game is tied 1-1 with the stakes this high, there's a spirit to the game that the official recognizes, and he'll put it outside.
So it will be a free kick.
I think Brian Godfrey wants to take the linesman to lunch.
I think he does too. On this sideline there you see Willie Anderson as the Sounders line up with Tommy Baldwin. Alan Stevens, Hank Leotard this. Free kick, 9:58 to go in the game. A free kick from just outside the penalty area. Willie Anderson will take it, chips the ball across. The ball just missing the head of Peter Witt, but Portland controls. Jimmy Kelly, they love him here. Mike England heads it away. And Tommy Baldwin helps him out and gets it over the touchline, and Portland is back in business again. McLaren. Long shot. The ball still in play, and Mike England controls with his body and gets the ball out of there.
Calmly trapped it, put it down. There's the rock.
Tommy McLaren to Barry Lynch. Long header control by Peter Witt. A collision between Willie Anderson and Alan Stevens. And free kick for Willie Anderson. And what a battle that has been tonight between those two.
Outstanding.
Shot in front. Witt lets it go through his leg and nobody there to kick it. Hank Leotard controls the run up the field. He collides with McLaren and Portland controls, but Leotard comes back to knock it over the far side and over the touchline, and Portland will throw it in.
I think the fans back in Seattle will certainly understand that the pressure here must be just incredible on Seattle, and yet there have been some just great plays made.
Peter Witt trying to get the ball in the air, but the little guy, Arfon Griffiths, is in there to knock it away. Portland 19 shots on goal, Seattle 10. So far in the game. Just to the second half, 8 minutes, 21 seconds remaining. Seattle, Tommy Baldwin. Davy Butler. Butler looking for Baldwin, but he wasn't there. And the ball goes over the touchline at the end. And the Timbers will put it back in play with a goal kick by Graham Brown. 8 minutes remaining in the game. 8 minutes to play. Score tied 1-1. Arfon Griffiths. But Brian Godfrey controls for Portland. Dave Gillett, a long header. Looking for Crosley to Griffith. Tommy Baldwin and McLaren collide, and it was off McLaren. It'll be a throw-in for the Sounders. And Adrian Webster has the ball knocked back over the touchline on the far side, and a throw-in again for the Sounders, and he will throw it in. Looking downfield for Paul Crosley. Crosley goes back to Gillett. Gillett, long, high shot. Looking for John Rowlands. The ball just over his head, and Portland controls. Graham Brown, the Portland goalie. Long kick. Handled by Peter Witt. To Willie Anderson. He gets by Hank Leotard. Anderson continues toward the goal. Anderson to Witt. His shot is off of the mouth of Mike England. Back to Peter Witt again. But Hank Leotard kicks it away.
Lots of poise out there. There's so many individuals that are rising to the level that they have to in this game.
We're down to 6 minutes, 26 seconds remaining. Score tied 1-1 here in Portland. Hank Leotard controlling. Total shots, Portland 34, Seattle 14. Incredible difference in the game. Davy Butler still controlling, almost knocked down by McLaren. Here comes Tommy Baldwin with the ball kicked away by McLaren. Controlled by Portland.
He rounded second base very nicely, but
he certainly did.
Couldn't get that ball past the shortstop.
Every time Kelly touches the ball, the crowd goes wild here. They love his speed. With
look out,
ahead to Kelly, and what a save
we get a
by
goal
Barry
kick.
Watley. And a goal kick for Seattle off of the foot of Jimmy Kelly. And with 5:41 to go, the score tied 1-1 here at Multnomah Stadium in Portland. We'll pause for this timeout.
Okay, Grant Lamp will be coming in, probably for Baldwin. Or Butler, one or the other.
Here's for Butler, okay.
That's a pretty good move at this stage of the game.
Shirt Von Lon replacing Davy Butler for the Seattle Sounders with 5 minutes, 36 seconds to play. And regulation play here at Multnomah Stadium, Portland. John Rowlands trying to get the ball to Tommy Baldwin. But Brian Godfrey is there to break it up. Barry Powell to the far side. To Betts. Betts gets the kick down too far. Collision in the corner. Whistle blows.
That's a charging foul. Depends on where it is on the field. You might have let that go. It always looks bad to the crowd, but there is a legal charge in this game that allows two players contending for a ball to butt each other, move them off the ball.
So Adrian Webster with the free kick. Deep in his own end of the field. Here comes Hank Leotard. But Barry Powell is there to knock it away. Picked up by Brian Godfrey to the far side to Anderson, and they'll come right back and work on Alan Stevens again. Here they go. Hank Leotard over to help him out. And Alan Stevens will move it for the Sounders. Ahead to Tommy Baldwin, doesn't get quite enough on it, and McLaren controls. Stevens gets it back, however. Tommy Baldwin at midfield, and the ball hits the referee in the back and is controlled by the Portland Timbers. Oh, what a break. To Betts. Betts to Anderson. This could be the break they're looking for. They have Betts in front of the goal. They shoot. They miss. It's off the near post. And Mike England might have had something to do with that one.
Yes, he certainly did. Just write his name down anytime that ball deflects.
A corner kick.
You can see on the replay, Mike just got a foot on it.
The ball went over the touchline as we were away showing the replay. So now it'll be another corner kick for the Portland Timbers. Barry Powell, the long kick. The header by, and the shot. The header by Peter With in front of the shot, out in front by McLaren. Seattle now. Shirt Von Lon getting a foot into the ball, but it is controlled by Brian Godfrey. Von Lon runs him off of the ball. And Shirt Von Lon and Brian Godfrey go at it. Now, there are two people I wouldn't want to run into because they're pretty big. The referee is there. Order is being restored here in Portland before 31,000 plus in an unbelievable soccer game. Everybody thought it was going to be a great game, and it has been tonight, especially the second half.
Truly
long shot by Portland. Alan Stevens heads it out. There's the shot. Wide left by Tommy McLaren. We said before the show that we thought this could be one of the great games in North American Soccer League history. We don't know now whether it'll go down as one of those great games, but it certainly has to rate as one of the best played this year in the North American Soccer League.
Well, this has just been a championship all the way. Those are the terms we were using before the game began, and they've lived up to it in every aspect of the game.
Mike England with a foot into it. To Arfin Griffiths, to Alan Stevens. Stevens going ahead now. To Von Lon. Von Lon back to Stevens. Middle of the field to Hank Leotard. The guy with the green shoes goes to the far side to Adrian Webster. Paul Crosley. Crosley being marked there by Barry Lynch. Lynch and Crosley. Interesting matchup. Crosley with that speed moves it, chips it across the corner. And Tommy Baldwin just missed getting his head on it. And Martin and Von Lon collide. So you see the two of them patting each other on the back. Two guys playing very, very hard tonight. Goal kick for the Portland Timbers, Graham Brown. We're down to a minute, 39 seconds, 38 seconds, 1-1 tie. Remember, we will go into a 15-minute sudden death overtime. If this game ends in a tie, then we will go to penalty kick. We will have a winner before we're through here tonight. Portland with the ball. Peter With. Von Lon, or brother Adrian Webster stops With, and With is down on the pitch. Ahead to Paul Crosley. With is just getting up slowly. Paul Crosley now. Looking ahead to Von Lon. Off on Griffin. Von Lon, the Dutch style. Gets the ball too high in the air. Back in front to Tommy Baldwin. Everybody heading the ball, and Portland controls. And back to Willie Anderson. 55 seconds to go in the game. 1-1 tie. Anderson working on Alan Stevens. He has help from Arfon Griffiths. Anderson in close. And the ball off the foot of Dave Gillett goes to Barry Watling. 37 seconds remaining in the game. 1-1 tie. The Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders. 31,000 plus on hand, and I keep mentioning that crowd because you look around and it's alive here.
And that doesn't even include those 400 people over there on the roof of that apartment building.
No, we've got people on the roofs of the buildings across the Multnomah Stadium. Foul called against John Rollins. We're down to 13, 12 seconds to go. Long kick. Dave Gillett gets it out of there. But Jimmy Kelly controls. Gillett with the tackle. Timeout call, foul called on Dave Gillett. It will be a free kick from the far side. And we have a player down in front of the goal, and let's check and see who it is.
That's With, I believe, it's down.
Peter With is down. And there is a little confusion on the field right now. With is down in front of the goal, just at the penalty line. We have 3 seconds remaining in the game. Score tied 1-1. Portland has a free kick on the far side.
You know,
well, Coach, what would you do now?
Well, with 3 seconds to go, I'd put up a 10-man wall. I think Peter With must have seen an American football game a time or two, because that clock isn't supposed to stop. And somehow he managed to convince the official that he was sick enough to have him call time. The clock really should have run out.
Peter With is up, rubbing his right ankle, and now the free kick from the far side. 3 seconds to play here in Portland. Score tied 1-1. Remember, we go into sudden death overtime if it ends in a tie. When the whistle blows, the clock will start. Ready? Now, long kick in front of the goal. It goes over the goal, and time runs out, and that's the end of the game. It ends in a tie.
We got a dog
1-1
fight.
tie, and we'll go into sudden death overtime. From Multnomah Stadium in Portland, it's the Sounders 1, the Portland Timbers 1, and we'll be back for the overtime right after this.
Have you ever held the wonder of the old ways?
Some people choose the special instead of the ordinary. Maybe that's why they know Olympia tastes like no other beer in America.
Come on along, have a nice pull, only one more time. You owe yourself the best beer in the land.
Olympia. Beer doesn't get any better.
This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you can get a 100% vinyl jacket that looks like leather for only $10 at your local Rodalie store, the fashion leader of the Northwest.
Call the glass doctor, he'll fix your pain. Call the glass doctor, he'll fix your pain.
You are looking at the Seattle Sounders bench. They sort of collect themselves. That is John Best in the white T-shirt there, as you see in front of the bench, talking to his players. The score ends in a 1-1 tie in regulation play. You know the rules of the North American Soccer League. Now you see the Portland Timbers on the near side of the field. That's Tony Betts, who's just come into the game. You're also looking at Willie Anderson.
There's a familiar face, that David Landry in the background.
It certainly is. You know him.
And David's done a nice job down here. He's very happy with the club. He was unhappy to leave Seattle, but he's had a very good experience down here.
An old player of yours, right?
Yeah, and
From
what they're
Seattle
saying
Pacific.
is that he did an outstanding job down in Los Angeles the other night. I think the interest in the second team and the B squad players down here is the same as it is in Seattle.
What would you do now if you were the coach?
Well, I think
of the Sounders or the Portland Timbers?
I think if John could somehow get them to come back and settle and begin to do what they did at the outset of the second half, it would work wonders here. What we don't know, of course, is just exactly how fatigued the players are. We'd like to see a couple of runs off the ball and quick changes of the ball, but there again, they may be just off the game a tiny bit. When that ball comes across, it's not quite on target. there have been some heavy knocks out there in the latter minutes of the game, so I think I would like to see him possibly bring in somebody with the experience of a Jimmy Gabriel.
I think that's exactly what he's going to do. You see Jimmy Gabriel on the far side. It appears now that Jimmy will be coming in the game. There's Don Paul with his back to you right now, the general manager of the Portland Timbers, and what a success story it has been. Vic Crow, the coach of the Portland Timbers. Remember now, this is what happens. We go 7.5 minutes one way on the field, then they switch ends, and we go 7.5 minutes the other way. 15 minutes, sudden death overtime. If you score, you win and move into the semifinals against the winner of the St. Louis-Los Angeles game that is scheduled for St. Louis tomorrow night.
I don't think anybody here really wants to see it go into penalty kicks. This kind of a game really ought to end either in regulation or overtime play with a ball in the net. And once again, if you can bring a fellow like Jimmy Gabriel in, Jimmy's so deep in experience and he has such a settling effect on the team. I would like to see a good distribution of the ball early on in the first half of this overtime. See Seattle get a couple of quick ones, and we might just see the same kind of thing happen that we saw when John Rowland scored his game.
Interesting statistics in the game, unofficially, from Tommy Grieve. We want to thank him very, very much for helping us out here. Shots on goal for Portland 40, Seattle 16. Saves for Portland 3 and Seattle 10. There's some fouls, 15 for Portland, 24 for Seattle. And corner kicks, that's the interesting thing. There you see now the Sounders coming off the bench, getting ready to go. John Best in the middle of your picture. Pepe Fernandez right there. Adrian Webster, number 16. Barry Watling with his back to you. But corner kicks, 9 for Portland and only 1 for the Seattle Sounders. And Brian Godfrey and Dave Gillett for the flip of the coin. We'll see what happens.
They're still smiling.
I don't know. There's the flip.
Davey Gillett, you know, Davey Gillett's the kind of guy that probably said, if I flip upright, can I keep this coin?
Okay, it has been decided now. And as you say, Jimmy Gabriel is coming in. Portland will defend the goal to our right. The Sounders will attack to the right. So Jimmy Gabriel is coming in the game, and Gabriel will be replacing, and let's pick up who he replaced. And I guess I'm going blind because I can't pick him up.
I think he replaced Arvon Griffiths.
I think he did too. You're right. He replaced.
And you know, it's an interesting thing. Barry Powell, who is so crucial to Portland's play, simply hasn't done a thing this entire night. He really hasn't been much of a threat at all.
Here we go. Sudden death overtime. Multnomah Stadium in Portland. The Seattle Sounders. The Portland Timbers. And Paul
That's a
Crosley
good play.
Takes the
Very
ball
well done.
Tommy Baldwin. The kick ahead to Crosley on the right side. He has some space.
He had off time. Just
And
a
he
step
was
or two
offside.
ahead of that play.
Offside charge to the Seattle Sounders.
I think a word has to be said about the officiating. They've done an excellent job here this evening. I don't think you can fault them at all.
Yes, they have. Shots on goal for Portland 40, Seattle 16. Saves for Portland 3 and Seattle 10. There's some fouls, 15 for Portland, 24 for Seattle. Corner kicks, that's the interesting thing. There you see now the Sounders coming off the bench, getting ready to go. John Best in the middle of your picture. Pepe Fernandez right there. Adrian Webster, number 16. Barry Watling with his back to you. But corner kicks, 9 for Portland and only 1 for the Seattle Sounders.
And
Brian Godfrey and Dave Gillett for the flip of the coin. We'll see what happens.
They're still smiling.
I don't know. There's the flip.
Davey Gillett, you know, Davey Gillett's the kind of guy that probably said, if I flip upright, can I keep this coin?
Okay, it has been decided now. And as you say, Jimmy Gabriel is coming in. Portland will defend the goal to our right. The Sounders will attack to the right. So Jimmy Gabriel is coming in the game, and Gabriel will be replacing, and let's pick up who he replaced. And I guess I'm going blind because I can't pick him up.
I think he replaced Arvon Griffiths.
I think he did too. You're right. He He
And
replaces...
you know, it's an interesting thing. Barry Powell, who is so crucial to Portland's play, simply hasn't done a thing this entire night. He really hasn't been much of a threat at all.
Here we go. Sudden death overtime. Multnomah Stadium in Portland. The Seattle Sounders. The Portland Timbers. And Paul
That's a
Crosley
good
control.
play.
Takes the ball
Very
away.
well done.
Tommy Baldwin. The kick ahead to Crosley on the right side. He has some space.
He had off time. Just
And
a
he
step
was
or two
offside.
ahead of that play.
Offside charge to the Seattle Sounders.
I think a word has to be said about the officiating. They've done an excellent job here this evening. I don't think you can fault them at all.
Yes, they have.
And that's a good example. Seattle fans obviously would like to have seen that ball go through, but it was right. It was a good call.
Mike England ahead to Hank Leotard.
Here's a young fella that's, an old young fella that certainly should get some credit. He's hung in there.
He certainly has.
And he still has a lot of stamina left. I think he's about 6 miles high for this game.
The shot too high by Chertmont Lawn. A couple of Dutch players.
Yeah, they came across and said, let's pop one for Pepe.
That's right. Both of them played in Holland. Hank Leotard now playing for the United States national team. So the ball goes clear over the bleachers here at the end. And now it comes back into play, and Graham Brown.
I
the
saw that
Portland
little
Golden.
kid back in there signing that ball.
Did you?
Yeah, he took a timeout.
Portland now has Martin, Graham Day, Brian Godfrey, and Barry Lynch as their defenders. Powell, McLaren, and Betts at midfield. Anderson, With, and Kelly at the forward spots. And here come the Sounders with Jimmy Gabriel, the veteran, going to the outside to Chertmont Lawn. Von Lawn has the ball taken away by Tommy McLaren. The referee says continue play.
Well, we talked about Seattle bringing that play back and beginning to distribute it, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. This is a channeling effect. Jimmy Gabriel is a master at the channeling theory. He's written literal pages on the theory of channeling, and there's a good example of it in practice.
Adrian Webster ahead to Paul Crosley. Crosley looking for some space.
That's a well-placed ball.
He goes to
Well-placed
Webster.
ball.
And the ball goes off of the foot of who?
Now, that's a good case, Bruce.
They say Adrian Webster.
That's a good case of what we call running off the ball. Here's a defender deep from his side that came off the ball, ran ahead into the space, and the man that normally would be up front played it to him through the space, and he came across, and but for excellent defensive work, he'd have had a good cross.
We're down to 5 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the first half of this sudden death overtime. A collision on the field with Hank Leotard involved, but now Portland controls. Back to Barry Lynch, to Brian Godfrey. Getting the ball ahead to Peter With. With and Dave Gillett. With beats Gillett on the left side, kicks in front and just missed the goal.
Barry just got a piece of that. Just a tiny piece of it.
Portland still controlling. Mike England picks the ball out in front. England again will head it away. Jimmy Kelly has it. Kelly shot over the touchline at the end and out of play.
Well, Mike England certainly has to be in the running for the defensive star of the game.
There's no question about that.
He stood head and shoulders over everybody, maybe literally.
Working as a sweeper here tonight, a guy who just moves all over the field for you.
He plays in behind, kills the space behind the defender. He's experienced enough to come out and play one-on-one the man if he slides through the slot on his side.
Barry Watling, a low kick. John Rowlands gets ahead into it. Betts gets the ball back. Can Tommy Baldwin control? We'll see. No, he can't, and the ball comes out to Jimmy Kelly. Kelly ahead to Barry Powell. Powell to the far side. To Tony Betts. Back to Ray Martin. Chertmont Lawn getting run off the ball. In the corner.
Oh, that was a lovely move.
Shot,
and
and
there's
again,
Mike
England
again.
right there to kick it away.
They ought to put a red shirt on Mike England tonight.
Mike England is playing hand in hand with Barry Watling there tonight.
That's the greatest pair of defenders we've seen.
The throw in now for the Portland Timbers. We're down to 3 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in this, the first half of sudden death overtime. Score tied 1-1 here at Multnomah Stadium in Portland, and 31,000 people enjoying every minute of this North American Soccer League game, and a game that people are going to be talking about for a long time. The Portland Timbers.
They didn't even count these guys up here with the nosebleeds.
We're high above the field on the west side. Graham Day getting a head into it, but Mike England is there to knock it away. Jimmy Kelly controls. Kurt Von Lahn going back to Alan Stevens. John Rowlands trying to just chip the ball across to someone, but no one is there except Graham Day. Jimmy Kelly in front to Peter Witt. And Mike England again getting the left foot on it. And Mike England playing with all the cool of the great veteran that he is.
Mike looks like he's walking out to get the mail. That's the thing that just sends you north.
A goal kick for the Portland Timbers. The crowd of 31,000 on their feet now. As Willie Anderson will kick it from this veneer corner. There's the shot. It's up in front. Jimmy Gabriel tries to get it out of there. He can't. Hank Leotard trying to get it out. Back to Jimmy Kelly. And Kelly controls for Portland. He goes to the corner to Anderson. Anderson has some space. Chips it across in front. There's the shot. Portland scores. Portland wins.
Absolute pandemonium. Somebody's going to get injured out there. That's going to be absolute pandemonium.
People all over the field as the Portland Timbers defeat the Seattle Sounders by a score of 2-1 with 1 minute and 29 seconds remaining in the first half of the sudden death.
They're going to have 4,000 people out there.
People running out of the stands, jumping up and down. You can see they're all over the field. What a finish for this game in Portland. There you see the stands. They're going wild. And we'll be back with a final wrap-up from Portland right after this commercial timeout. You're looking at the crowd at Multnomah Stadium in Portland. They are going absolutely wild here. It is something that I have never seen before. They're running all over the field. Here is the replay of the winning goal. Willie Anderson gets the assist. That's Anderson now going deep in the corner. Chips the ball back across. Tony Betts gets his head into it. High in the right corner at the far post, and he beats Barry Watling there, and the Portland Timbers move on into the semifinals of the North American Soccer League playoffs with an overtime 2-1 win over the Seattle Sounders. You can hear the noise behind me. 31,000 plus going absolutely wild here. They can hear this cheering, I'm sure, all over Portland right now, and there's no question about it which team won the game. The goal by Tony Betts coming at the 96th minute, 31 seconds of the game. A minute and about 20 seconds to go in the first half of the overtime. Firecrackers going off at the right end of the field. Kids running all over the field. People jumping up and down. I think all the players got into the dressing room. It looks like they did. It's begun to quiet down here just a little bit now, but I don't think anyone in Portland has seen anything like this ever. But the Portland Timbers defeat the Seattle Sounders by a score of 2-1. We are trying to get John Best, the Seattle Sounder coach, for a couple of remarks before we cut away from Multnomah Stadium here in Portland. But again, the Portland Timbers defeating the Seattle Sounders by a score of 2-1 in overtime here at Multnomah Stadium in Portland. And what a setting for a soccer game. What a beautiful, beautiful evening. Let's look at the replay one more time as you see the people out there. There is Willie Anderson, number 12. Anderson, the forward, chips the ball across to the midfielder, Tony Betts. Betts in perfect position, gets his head on the ball, and he drills it into the far side, near the far post, high in the corner, and no chance for Barry Watling to get the ball. And right then, winner take all. And the Portland Timbers defeat the Seattle Sounders in overtime by a score of 2-1. The Timbers now play host to the winner of the Los Angeles-St. Louis game.